Hello, my name is Tylluan. I'm a solitary pagan witch. I'm an author and founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. And today's little chat is about how to respond when people who are not pagan or don't follow your particular spiritual path start getting unpleasant with you. It does happen, and over the years, I would say my post box, once or twice a month, I get rather anguished and upset emails and letters from people who have been told you're going to hell. And even though most pagans do not believe in hell, and certainly Wiccans and witches don't, even though they don't believe in it, it's still extremely upsetting. And I think sometimes we don't really pay enough attention to how we can respond to this. Because there are lots of things we can do to try to deflect the upset that these things cause. First of all, I think it depends on who is saying it to you. There is a huge difference between someone like a family member or friend, someone you love and respect, saying something like that, and somebody who is basically trying to have a go at you. Perhaps somebody in school or college or work, things like that. So we'll deal first of all with people who are close to you. What you have to remember, people who come out with things like that, it may well be that they honestly believe that there is a hell, and they honestly believe that anyone who doesn't follow the same path as they do will be going to hell. And because they love you too, they're actually very upset for you and they're trying to help you. Now, it's a funny way to go about trying to help somebody, telling them they're going to hell, but I do appreciate people have different views, and I do appreciate that sometimes in the course of a discussion, this kind of thing will be said. I think the important thing is not to be too hurt by it. I think you have to gently explain, well, look, Mum, Dad, Auntie, Nellie, or whoever it happens to be, I don't believe in hell. And, we have to accept that we are on different paths. But if I ever have any doubts or questions, I'd like to feel free to come and ask you. And if you ever have any doubts or questions, you have to feel free to come and ask me too. But we won't do that if we're being confrontational with each other. So I think that's one of the ways to approach it. Look, we don't agree. We have to agree to differ. That has always been one of my favourites. It depends how much they're coming on to you. If somebody's coming on very strong, you could point them in the direction of St. Matthew's Gospel, with the quote in there that says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." In other words, if you tell me I'm going to hell, well, you shouldn't be judging me, because that's where you're going to end up if you do judge me. It's a very nice turnaround, and it's one reason why I'm not overly keen on children opting out of RE lessons, because sometimes it's very, very useful to have a good working knowledge of where other people are coming from. So that's one possibility. The other possibility, of course, is where you've got somebody like in school or something like that, where they discover that you're pagan or something, or that you tell them without realising what their beliefs are, or worse, that somebody else takes it upon themselves to tell them, and then they start to have a go at you. Well, I think myself, there are several ways to deal with it. One is you can brush it off and just say, well, so? You're going to hell. So? I don't believe in hell. Another way to deal with it is, well, so you say. It's a sort of non sequitur. There is no real comeback to that. So you say. You're going to hell. So you say. What do you say to that? Where does it go? Apart from getting a punch on the nose, there isn't much else you can do with an argument like that. And of course, another one is to tackle it head on and say, well, look, I don't know who told you this, but, don't you think it would be better to talk about it? This is particularly useful if people say, you worship the devil. You're a witch, you worship the devil. And I think the best answer to that is to say, well, I think you should go and talk to whoever told you this, whoever gave you this idea. because actually it's wrong. You've been duped. You've been taken in by a load of propaganda, because actually pagans, generally speaking, do not believe in a devil, and they certainly don't worship the Christian devil. I mean, why would we? that's nonsense. So I think that's actually a very good one. Propaganda, you've been had, you've been duped. You're the ones who have been taken in by a load of nonsense. And you can go round and round in circles with this, but I think the most important thing to remember with all of it is, firstly, be very careful who you tell and what you tell. Because, you know, my mother used to have a very old saying, which was, if you have a friend, keep her as such, and do not tell her your secrets much, for if that friend becomes your foe, out into the world your secrets go. And although I'm not a great fan of secrets, I tend to think things should be brought out into the light. There is a right time and a right place and a right circumstance for doing it. You do not go dashing down the high street shouting, "Hey, I'm a pagan." Even I wouldn't do it. You just don't. Why not? Not because I'm ashamed of being a pagan, but actually because I believe it's nobody else's business. You know, I have a very wise husband in Mr. Penry, and one day he said to me, you know, if somebody asks you a question that they have no business knowing the answer to, then you are quite entitled to lie to them. You know, it's like if somebody you work with says, "How much do you weigh?" Well, are they entitled to know that? No, of course not. Lie. Tell them anything. Tell them 2 stone. That should do it. So I think it's a question of knowing who you tell and when you tell. And if you have already told them and you're getting a bit of stick, you have to really back off from it. You know, it takes a very strong person to get into the fray and stay in the fray and keep arguing your corner. And to be honest with you, life is so short, or each life is so short, that really you've got better things to be doing with it. And if people pursue you through social media and stuff like that, well, switch the bloody computer off. Bar their phone numbers, anything. Don't put up with it. Why should you? You are not going to hell. You do not worship the devil. And woe betide anyone who says otherwise. Anyway, I hope this has helped a little bit. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.